Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a whole new episode of Full Steam Ahead. I'm your host, Zoe, with my partner and crime on the other side, Cantu. How was your weekend, my man?
It was good. It was good. Just got back from Austin yesterday. We were at the Besame Mucho tour, my wife and I. It was pretty good. Jam packed with people. It was hot, but beers were expensive. But when you're out there, it's whatever. At one point, no, it was a great time. It was an all day festival. So I'm sure a lot of people went because it was there's a lot of Houston folks out there, Dallas folks out there. So it was really good.
How much was a beer? Just thinking about it right now. I'm guessing about like 17 to the $20 range.
Yeah, it's exactly right. It depends what
Wow.
you wanted to drink. So my wife and I got a paloma, which is
Mixed drinks too.
it was just tequila with some mineral water, some lemon. Right, that was $20 each.
Wow.
And then if you wanted like a canned beer like the Tall Boys,
Mhm.
those were about 17, $18. And then have you tried this new thing called Beatbox?
I've heard of it. I've heard of Buzz
Okay,
Balls, but I've yet to try both of them.
so we tried some Beatboxes. They're pretty good, but it has 11.1 of APU. So,
I bet you after you got home at the hotel, you're just lying on your bed, just
oh
passed
yeah.
out.
So the festival started at 11, right?
Mhm.
And at 1 o'clock, we were in front of these two dudes that were from Pasadena. They said they
What a
had two.
coincidence. What a coincidence.
Exactly
Yeah.
right. They had two beatboxes, and they're already like swaying side to side already. Like it's just, that's the real thing. But how was your weekend before we get started?
Good. Got to cover the college baseball classic at Minute Maid,
Exciting,
which
yeah.
was pretty fun and excited to see.
2 years
In
for you in a row now.
2 years in a row. Yeah. Very thankful for the opportunity. It was awesome to see Vanderbilt up in person because, of course, us two are A&M
Vandy
grads.
boys.
Yep. Hashtag gig 'em out there for all the A&M fans listening. Texas fans will make an exception. But yeah, again to see Vanderbilt was pretty interesting. Seeing LSU as well was nice. Texas State was a storyline, I would say.
Two
That
walk
team,
offs.
yeah, that team right there has some grit. When they're at the batter's box or even pitching on the mound too. That team's very uh, feisty, I would say. U of H, of course, Louisiana Lafayette, and am I missing one more team in my the top of my head, or I covered all of them?
I think that's everybody. You
Yeah,
got,
that's everybody actually.
yeah.
U of H. So, but yeah, it was
Oh,
nice up there.
LSU, right? Did you say LSU?
No, I did say LSU,
Okay. LSU
but
actually
yeah.
won the tournament. They Vanderbilt and LSU both went 3-0, but by a 1 point run differential, LSU won. I think the LSU was a 9 point run differential, and Vanderbilt was eight.
That's why it's very important, kids, to score as many runs as possible in them little league games. Very important. Parents, if you're listening to this, make sure you got to get them kids going.
Exactly. But we have a jam packed episode. Obviously, we'll start you off with Astros Roundup, game recap, skipper update, and a new segment called Mailbag Monday. And for this one, I had to look, you know, when you get your mail, I'm thinking about like a big bag of mail. Well, we had to dig deep for this one because there was only like, it was a long question, but it was a good one. So you'll see it later, or you'll hear it later, and then we have around the horn. But talk to us about those Astros roundups, Lorenzo.
Yeah. So real quick too with the mailbag, get ready for you. I'll ask you about your mailbag question. You could give me my mailbag. Make it at least three, if we
Okay.
could say so.
Appreciate the heads up. Let me start thinking
Yeah,
about it.
but let's go with the leading off with the Astro game recaps. Obviously, this weekend, this week too as well. We didn't record since last Tuesday, so thank you for joining us in this new Tuesday. Getting all the game recaps. Pitching has been one of the storylines of this spring training for the Astros. It's been dominant for them. Ronel Blanco, Christian Javier made his spring training debut. Framber Valdez, a little rocky, but hey, it's the first game of him starting. Got to knock off the rest sometime off. Jose Urquidy as well got his second start. So let's start off with Ronel Blanco real quick. 2 2/3, 2 hits, 0 earned runs, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. Blanco, I mean, he's had a good spring training 2 starts so far. Skipper Joe Espada had to say this about Ronell. He said, quote, Blanco again throwing the ball really well, attacking hitters, fastball up to 95, good sliders, looking really good again. And then, of course, if you're listening to this on Tuesday morning, he'll be pitching today. And if you're listening to this to Monday, like we're recording on, he'll be pitching tomorrow's game against the Marlins. So, Angel, I mean, let me start off with this question. Ronel Blanco's kind of setting himself for a good spot in this bullpen for opening day. So, honestly, tell me what you think about him so far from these two spring training starts.
He looks great, and honestly, well, like you mentioned, like you said, he's setting himself up for the bullpen. But you remember, he also got a few starts last year too, and with the injuries that the Astros have had throughout the season, like you might won't be surprised again if they could do a 6-man rotation, maybe that 5-6 row, but more. It's looking more like a bullpen role for Ronald Blanco. But if there's an injury, like another injury, Ronald Blanco has the ability to step up. He's looked really good. I like that his fastball's been up. So that's and again, I know his arms fresh, his spring training. So it can go two ways. Either pitchers aren't throwing 100%, or they're trying to win a spot, so they're gonna go extend a little bit and get that fastball a little bit more velo. But he looks really good, and if he keeps pitching like this, I won't be surprised if he's in the 26-man roster uh, for the Astros.
Yeah. I mean, last year, I mean, he had a stint with the Astros playing. He did start some games, did work in a long relief in the bullpen as well. But we've talked about the last two times of him going to the Dominican Winter League, back to back off seasons and working in the Winter League. Of course, Dominican Republic's a lot of their players come from there. It's a big part. And Ronel Blanco continues to go over there and work with. I think he played with the Estrellas, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
I can look it up.
I want to say he's been playing with the Estrellas, but what he's been doing so far is remarkable for the Astros. For him too, he could be potentially starting some games, like you said, Angel. If there's an injury that could happen to the Astros starting rotation, he could be that guy to jump in or go in the bullpen as well. So it's a great start to see Ronel Blanco do a great job in the position that where he's at.
Yeah, he did play for the Estrellas, and he appeared in 8 games and pitched a total of 9 innings, and his ERA was exactly one.
Did he give up a run? I remember there was a streak going on with him, scoreless, I would say, from the last
Yeah,
previous year he was pitching.
he allowed 5 hits, 1 hit, 1 run, 1 walk, and 10 strikeouts in the Dominican Winter League.
Not bad. When you got guys like Fernando Tati that's playing over there, Christopher Morel's another guy that plays in that winter league. So it gets very competitive in them leagues down the
Oh,
Dominican
but you're
because of
right.
what?
So, from the Dominican League, um, in 2022, he had 20.2 innings without allowing a run, and in 2021, 2022, it's 18 innings without allowing a run.
See, I know. You see.
Man, look at that.
Things you love to see if you're an Astros fan. But what he's doing right now is remarkable, like we're saying, because you never know he could get a spot on the roster for opening day. Of course, they're trying to get to see what's going to happen in that relief role. Obviously you got the back end of Hader, Presley, and Abreu. Well, what about the middle part of the rotation, like the bullpen? So Ronell could be looking that way if he wants.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree with you.
Yeah, but and then another pitcher who's obviously been on the front end of potentially being a Cy Young Award winner in the American League. That is Mr. Framber Valdez from the Dominican Republic himself. He made his first start in spring training. It didn't go as planned that he was hoping for, but hey, like we were talking about, it's your first start. You're still knocking off the rust from the previous years, and you're not going to be lights out automatically. So real quick, Framber's numbers in his stat line: 1 1/3, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. He did give up a home run to C.J. Abrams. I believe that was the first inning leadoff hitter for the Washington Nationals. I cannot confirm right now. But Framber did say he was pitching about 40-50%. He wasn't going like a full 100, full 90, 110 percent. And then the other interesting thing too, that he was calling his own pitches on the pitch
Hmm.
comp. Joe Espada had allowed it for the first time. Framber Valdez doesn't have Martin Maldonado behind the plate to help him call games, to help him calm down. I know Yainer Diaz had spoken about continuing that process on for the rest of the seasons with Framber being on, the season with the Astros. But Joe Espada had to say this real quick after his first start. He said, quote, breaking pitches and the action on his pitches were pretty good. Inconsistent in the zone, wasn't as sharp as he wanted to be, in the quote. But Joe Espada had mentioned, like he said, I mean, this was his first start. There's nothing to panic. First start of the spring training, you begin to see live batters as well. Not the same team as, doing live BP against the Astros hitters, but going against another team. Um, this can help Framber Valdez for the future of continuing to manage the game with pitch com, with him having that confidence of him doing himself, or he could continue, rebuilding that connection with Yiner Diaz, trusting Yiner too to call the game because, like we said, Yiner Diaz is going to be the everyday catch for the Astros.
Yeah, and something with Framber. Before I started, I'm surprised. Framber Valdez didn't pull the green key and just put out the sign out there, instead of using the pitch com. But uh, something with Framber, like, again, you're right. It's not like we're not pressing the panic button on Framber Valdez. It's his first start of the spring, but I feel Framber Valdez is the type of pitcher that needs to get off to a good spring in order to have confidence into the season. Um, I think you've seen it every year with him. There's a stint where he's just loses focus. Like when he's focused and he's confident in himself, he's on it. You saw it in the first half last year. And then when he just starts getting too much in his head and like starts losing that physical, like that mental toughness that he has, he just like ramps up and just starts leaving stuff out over the plate. Now, again, I'm not worried about his outing. It's like there's no reason to be pressing panic buttons on the first start of spring training, especially when the whole point of spring training is to be working on things, fixing mechanical issues. Like it doesn't matter if you give up a home run to a prospect; nothing matters in spring training. But I I just feel like in order for him to have a good season going in, he needs to have a good spring.
Yeah, it can happen with the confidence level, like you were saying, and that's a big on Framber. Of obviously he's mentally. We talked about that too, with confidence in the mental part of this game. For Framber Valdez, he doesn't need to maybe have a solid start, but at the same time too, this is spring training, and like you were saying too as well, that some pitchers could be working on something. Some pitchers could be fixing in a new pitch into their arsenal. Some pitchers could be possibly, kind of focusing on one pitch than the other. So the biggest thing going to spring training is to work on something, to improve on something. Yes, you do want to start off spring training with a bang and go on to with a hot start, but at the same time too, the guy has 3 more weeks because Astros opening day is on March 28th. There's a great possibility he could become the Astros starter for that game. But like I said, I don't think there's nothing to panic. You said the same thing. There's no reason to panic. It's just one start this spring training is not going to affect the way he's going to be playing this whole season.
Absolutely.
But who is on a good start so far right now is Christian Javier. El Repti started spring training like we were talking about. I believe he started the Sunday game or the Saturday game against the St. Louis Cardinals, if I'm not mistaken.
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right. But Christian Javier, we talked about whenever the last episode was the command, the velocity. That needs to come into play. And he had talked about in the offseason, he lost some weight because it could have been mechanically why he could have been fatigued. His arm slot could have been dropping. That's why, there were some innings that he was just not giving it all. So coming to spring training, he did lose some weight, 15 pounds, like we had said the last episode, and he did pretty well for the Astros. Fastball command was there, was rising like the Christian Javier fastball special it is. He did throw 26 pitches, 16 of them were strikes. He finished the game with 3 innings, 0 hits, 0 earned runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. So that was a big emphasis that we had talked about the last episode, Angel, like we're saying. Christian Javier command is going to be key for him this year. The velocity, there it's not showing, what he's pitching, miles per hour with the fastball, the sinker, curveball, slider, all that. It doesn't show, but there has been some strong encouragement words from Joe Espada that the rising fastball has been there. I want to know still what the velocity is like, but on a good note, he is good with command so far.
That's good to hear. um, because that's where he struggled mightily, getting guys out, working. He like, I feel like every start Christian Javier had, he was always either falling behind, working his way up, or taking account to a 3-2 count. It was like every inning there was a 3-2 count with Christian Javier. So, and then like I think you and I have been saying, and even Robert Flores, like he's gonna be that X factor that needs to step up if the Astros need to have uh, are gonna have success this year, and I think he's gonna be a big piece for that.
Yeah, definitely. Especially if Verlander's not ready, if JP France is not ready, you already have McCullers not going to be coming till the second half following Luis Garcia. It's going to be very important for him to step up this year for the Astros.
Absolutely.
But last but not least on the starting list of pitching dominancy, Jose Urquidy started his second game too this spring training. He dominated once again. He did increase his pitch count, 41 pitches, 29 strikes. He did go 3 innings, 3 hits, 0 earned runs, 0 walks, 2 strikeouts. That's another positive sign for the Astros to see Jose Urquidy ramping up because if you remember last year, he was dealing with injuries. It just didn't look like the same changeup wasn't working as well as he would want it. But so far this spring, it's been looking like everything's been going um, in the right direction for Kitty and the Astros.
Wasn't he the pitcher they were talking about that he was tipping last year and then trying to fix
Yes.
that?
So he had talked about that. I don't know if he tipped during the playoffs, but in the regular season, I'm not even sure. Against Minnesota, though, I mean, he did pitch a clean game. I believe that was game 3 or game 4 of the ALDS. But the ALCS, that's when he kind of got hit a little bit more harder against the Rangers.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, again, like we said when we talk about Valdez, so I'm glad they caught that now, so he can kind of work on not to be his pitching because that's what spring training is all about, getting right for the regular season.
Yeah, but I do remember seeing something that had said Urquidy was tipping. Um, I just typed it on real quick on Google. CBS Sports says on a quote, it says Urquidy believed he was tipping his pitches by the way he moved and squeezed his glove in his delivery during the 2023 season. In addition to correcting that issue, he also worked to strengthen his shoulder and lat after suffering an injury to those areas last year. So maybe the Astros pitching coaches, Josh Miller had talked about maybe with him. I wasn't even aware of it
Yeah.
until he had mentioned it. So
And it just
maybe
shows
it's something.
how, like, it just shows how great the opposing hitters are and, like, how much technology and analytics go where they can catch something like that. Like some minor movement, minor arm slot, it's crazy.
Yeah. So far, pitching has looked dominant for the Astros. If you're looking at the starting spot of it, I would say. Bullpen wise, Josh Hader did make his debut as an Astros pitcher. He did a clean inning. Ryan Presley has made his debut. Brian Abreu and Rafael Montero also have done their due diligence and they've all pitched clean innings. So that's a great start for the notable Astros bullpen relievers if you're an Astros fan seeing that.
Absolutely.
But on the offensive part, there wasn't that much going on. Yiner Diaz did hit a home run. Kyle Tucker as well hit a home run. Jose Altuve got a hit. Jeremy Pena with the base running. That's looking so good so far. But a guy that I wanted to mention, and we've talked about it, I want to say 2 episodes ago, maybe last episode, Jake Meyers. He has been on a tear so far in these games. 449, 444 batting average, 615 on base percentage, 3 doubles, 2 RBIs, 4 walks, 1 stolen base. Only struck out 2 times with a 1.393 OPS. This has to be encouraging, not just for the Astros, but for Jake Meyers, because, honestly, when you looked at the past seasons of Myers playing with the Astros, I mean, he wasn't starting any more games. The bat just was inconsistent. He couldn't see himself being the lineup that he would like to. So far, though, in this spring, Joe Espada and him had met in the offseason as well. Jake Myers had gone to see a what not mental health coaches or
Your
what's
therapist?
therapist. Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. He's worked with some of them as well, so that's a great sign for him. Angel, give me your thoughts. What are you thinking on the hot start from Mr. Rake Myers?
I think Jake Myers needs to share his therapist information to Framber Valdez, especially throughout the season. But he's a good, and and I'm glad he's off to a fast spring because again, just like Valdez, I think Jake Meyers is a guy that needs to have a good spring in order to have confidence like in the regular season, especially early on. And again, I think this hot start by Jake Myers just is a factor that the Astros have confidence in him and the manager has confidence in him, and they're giving the opportunity, so it's there for him to take, and it's just him. Like, he needs to be able to do it, and he's off to a good start. I know he wants to play in the field. I'm sure it was his dream as a kid to be in the major leagues, and he's done it, and I'm sure he wants to stay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously too, they had talked about it that Chas McCormick and Jake Myers are going to have to compete, and a lot of Astro fans were like, "Well, why is Jake Myers even thought of right now? Well, he should be kind of a trade candidate. Chas McCormick deserves the starting role, but general manager, head coach said, "Hey, Jake Myers is going to get a shot no matter what. He's going to get a fair chance." Right now, Chas McCormick 11 at bats. He has a 182 batting average right now. And Chas McCormick had even mentioned it himself before spring training had started that he has to compete no matter what. He even came to spring training early to take some reps at the cages. So I don't see, like I said, I'd see a platoon happening in the outfield between Chas McCormick, Jake Myers. Even you can even add Mauricio Dubon into that mix as well. But at the same time, you got to be encouraged if you're a Nationals fan to see Jake Myers heading into the right direction because that's just going to make this ball club even better. It's going to have some depth too in the outfield. Um, of course, too, if you need a pitcher to come off the bench, Chaz will come off the bench. Jake, whatever situation it is, you could just see the confidence level in this kid right now rising.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, just like how you can never have too many pitchers, like you could always need an offensive bat coming in that pitch hit row, or coming in clutch in the bottom of the lineup. So having a deep lineup, like I think the two teams that the Astros won the World Series with had deep lineups, like 1 through 9. You knew we're gonna get you something. Maybe one through 8. I'm gonna say 1 through 8. Or like that you're gonna get something, right? But it's a good it's a good showing for Jake Myers. Now he just needs to keep that same energy in the regular season, and um, you know, going into the Astros season, we do have some skipper updates. This is per Brian McTagg. It's more like injury updates of what Joe Espada has been seeing on, especially two key, one starter, one reliever that will be big this season. And Espada said Verlander threw 60 pitches, including some sliders. He walked off the mound feeling really good. Espada said. Espada said if Verlander feels good tomorrow, which is today, they'll discuss facing hitters. So to me, that gives it maybe a week until Verlander is either doing a simulated game or pitching live BP, or I will be surprised if it's in a spring training game. Maybe give me like a week and a half, and then like depending how he feels for that. And then Forrest Whitley, I know he's been competing to make the major league roster for a long, long time, and it felt like this year was his due just because the Astros did lose 3 relievers. They moved into the bullpen row. Well, he will resume playing catch on Tuesday. He was scheduled to throw a live PP on February 24th, but had some inflammation in his middle finger now. The difference between a shoulder and a middle finger is obviously, right? So like the shoulder is a little bit more crucial. Middle finger is just like so you feel comfortable gripping the ball a little bit, which I don't think it would take him too much time to get ready uh, to throw to live hitters.
I was trying to look for a baseball around me. I was going to say he could, unless he throwing a knuckle curve, because the middle finger on that one. I mean, and
Yeah,
any pitch though,
well,
two slider,
well,
regular
yeah, the
curveball as
curveball,
well,
yeah. So as
fastball grip.
like it's more of like the off speed pitches will probably make it uncomfortable to get any rotation or spin in that.
Yeah, but encouraging news to see Verlander heading in the right direction. Forrest Willie as well, because Forrest too is going to be fighting for a bullpen spot in the Astros rotation. Like Robert Flores had even mentioned, that was one of the guys that he was hoping for, to get some big league experience this coming season, and there's a possibility he can.
Yeah,
It's
he's due.
just the number one thing. It's health. That's been the biggest thing for him.
Yeah, he that's been his whole career, right? Just being
Mhm.
able to stay healthy, and if it's not one thing, it's another. I think he was suspended too, uh, earlier.
PEDs, I would say.
Yeah, so I'm sure he's trying to make it back, but it's just been a tough road for Forrest Woodley.
You never know. All things come to good things at the end. So we'll have to see what Forrest But let's get in with the latest spring training moves as well. Astros did make their first moves of the spring training. Some list of players are heading to minor league camp. Right-handed pitcher AJ Blue Ball, infielder Zach DeZenzo, left-handed pitcher Colton Gordon, right-handed pitcher Red Cuba, outfielder Jacob Melton, catcher Miguel Palma, infielder Will Wagner. All these players have been reassigned to minor league camp. 57 players remain in major league camp. There's one name that wasn't on that, you know, taking the players to minor league camp, and that was Joey Lupifito.
Mhm.
So
Encouraging signs for him.
encouraging sign. Joe Espada did say encouraging words about the players, the saying that they're the future of this organization, which it is. And Jacob Melton, I believe, is the number one or number two prospect in the Astros farm system. So you could be seeing him coming close to a roster spot. Sorry about that. In the next come 2 years, Luperfido maybe he's just months away. Maybe he does start in the minor leagues this season and comes up mid or even the September call ups. So it'll be interesting to see what the Astros do in that later part.
Sure.
But let's start off, Angel, like you were saying, the latest segment of Mailbag Monday. We only had one, but it's a juicy one because it's going around, which you'll be talking about around the horn later, about this one particular pitcher at C Javier 4, the number 4, Cy Young. He said, "Is there any possibility of signing Snell, the starting pitcher Blake Snell, former guy from the San Diego Padres?" Angel, you want to share your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was about to say, let me answer this one. And I'm not gonna say zero this time because I got burnt with the Josh Hader part. But I'm gonna say there's a slim chance. A slim chance Blake Snell is in an Astros uniform. I don't think it would happen. Again, unless Dana Brown says hold my beer real quick or see what I got in my sleeve real quick. Um, it's not that the Astros don't want Blake Snell. It's more like the price tag on that one because, like
Mhm.
they've said, they're always in the market for pitchers for make the team better. So I'm sure they've called you know Boras and Snell, and I'm sure they had maybe a talk here and there, but nothing too serious. They're probably just testing the waters. But I don't I don't see it happening. I know the Giants are runner ups, maybe the Yankees, but I don't know. Not the Astros.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a slim chance. You never know what can happen. Maybe he wants to sign a 1 year deal with a World Series caliber team, like either the Dodgers, the Astros. The Yankees are not that far away from being that could be contending for a World Series. I think teams like that, if he's interested in, maybe there's a possibility to a 1 year term. But two, I mean, the Astros are already over the luxury tax,
Yeah.
and they continue to spend money. It's just going to get, I think the percentages is a little bit more widened for that. So,
Mhm.
I mean, like you said too, I mean, you could be surprised. You never know what Dana Brown could do. But I think it's like maybe I'll give it a 25% chance.
Okay.
That's I would say that's slim. That's not like the thinnest slim, but it's like 25% is not bad, I would say.
I I'm more around 7-10%
My
chance.
gosh. My gosh, you're ruining this guy's hopes, I guess you could say right now. But it'll be interesting to see what they do. Angel, how about your question?
Will Jeremy Pena have a bounce back year?
I said yes, I did. You remember we did our no cap and cap
Hmm.
segment. I had said I think he could hit over 300. Yeah, I think he does have a bounce back season. He's a top 10 shortstop, honestly. If you look at his WAR last year, his WRC plus, all those statistical numbers, he did pretty well. He was on the field quite a games. I think 130 plus as well. It was just the offensive part for him last season that wasn't doing too good. The power numbers weren't there like he was hoping like it would show in 2022. But hey, he kind of fixed his approach, new batting stance in place as well. He's looked so far so good. I'd say looking at the spring training games, he's looking like he's still in a little bit more bags, very aggressive on the base path. So yeah, why not? I think he does have a better season to come in 24.
I'd say he has a better season, but not late 2022. Like I don't I don't think he is 300, more like maybe 260, 270.
Mhm.
I say the power numbers do increase a little bit, RBI situations, but I I'd say we do see an improvement, not a drastic change. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think what maybe 280, 290 is not bad, but I did say over 300.
Yeah.
I did say that, so I'm gonna keep my word. I'll still say over 300. It could be 301 too. Why not? Why not 301? Let's see. What about my question? I really didn't come up with it at the top of my head.
Me neither. That was just the first thing that came to mind.
Well, this was a spring training edition. Um, so how about this one? If I can think of it. Um, Ronel Blanco does make the Astros opening day roster.
I think that was easy. Yeah, that's an easy one. And like if you would have told me Spencer Getty, I would have been like, man, I would say there's a 50-50 chance, but I
Okay,
say
okay. Let me rephrase mine then. If you want to talk about Spencer Arrighetti real quick, I got one at the top. Spencer Arrighetti makes a great impression in spring training, and the Astros will call him up mid-season, like June.
yeah, I can see that
Still go
happening.
with it?
Yeah, so that will happen. Yeah, but to answer the first question, I say a Ronel Blanco does break the roster, and it could be because of Forrest Whitley injury, just because he is have a little setback with that. But again, it also depends how great Forrest Whitley looks in the spring as well. So, um, especially the way Ronald Blanco is pitching, and he has that major league experience. I think he'll be like one of their middle relief long men for the Astros.
Sounds good. Like we said, Mailbag Monday. First tweet.
We
We
need
got
more
one Twitter,
questions.
so yeah, we need
We,
more questions to address. Maybe we do like a mid-season kind of question or before the season starts kind of thing.
yeah, for sure. But we need more because it's
Yeah.
kind of boring when it's just one. But moving on to around the horn, it's 32 minutes in. We're trying to get we're trying to make sure y'all hear us while on your way to work, and we're not stopping us halfway. But let the frenzy begin. This is part of our topic, especially for the mailbag. Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery. Since start spring training, there's been teams reaching out, and you figured, right? It was about due time. But there's 4 new teams that reached out to Scott Boras about Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery. So it's interesting to say because this whole time you would think it'll be like the big market teams making a splash, but
Hmm.
since it's gotten so late in the season and the way Matt Chapman's contract worked out, I think teams are like, you know what, we have a chance to sign this guy.
Yeah.
And a big piece that I've been noticing is those opt outs.
Yeah.
Like it's basically potentially could be like a 3-4 year deal, but realistically it might be a 1 year deal. But if you can get a prime Blake Snell, prime Matt Chapman, even just for 1 year while you're a contender, that can make a whole lot of difference.
Let's see. I'm trying to find the tweet. Somebody has said had. So if you follow MLB Deadline News on X, um, I mean these were quotes that were from sources like John Heyman, baseball sources. So real quick with Matt Chapman, it said the Blue Jays offered well over
Mm-hmm.
100 million to third baseman Matt Chapman
I
this
saw that.
spring, but never came close to an agreement or an extension with him, per John Heyman. And then Heyman did note that Chapman is probably shooting for 150 million plus this winter. And then obviously, San Francisco Giants made him an offer. He agreed to it. 3 years, 54 million. That was per John Heyman as well. And then another one, free agent first baseman slash outfielder Cody Bellinger is seeking a 200 million contract this winter per John Heyman. How did that go? Agreed to a 3-year, 80 million contract deal per Jeff Passan, but it included opt outs, like you were saying.
Yeah, I think MLB teams have found a way to beat Boras in his own game. I feel like, and I'm not gonna say it was like a desperation signing by Chapman, but I'm sure these guys are seeing spring training starting and they want to play. They want to be out there. So they're probably like, you know what, let's do it. But I want opt outs so I can try to test it again next year, right? See how the outcome. goes on. But I don't know. I feel like if you're Matt Chapman and you deny that money for the Blue Jays, knowing they have a good squad, I
Yeah.
don't know. That's kind of tough.
So, so real quick, what do you think the four new teams are?
But
Because you were saying with Blake Snell, you had mentioned the Giants, you mentioned the Yankees. I believe you even had mentioned the Angels. Jordan Montgomery, Red Sox have been in contention with them. The Rangers were at a time. Maybe they come back into play. What four new teams do you think? Montgomery and Snell, which ones?
you know
If you had
what?
to guess.
I'm think again. I have no idea, but I'm guessing teams that could have the money to spend and are pretty good, but could use a really ace pitcher like Blake Snell. Give me the Cincinnati Reds,
Ooh, love that.
uh,
Love that choice.
Seattle Mariners.
Yeah, native over there in
Yeah,
Seattle.
could be another one. So Baltimore Orioles could never have too much pitch, even with the Corbin Burns.
That's what I was thinking as well.
And you know what? The Minnesota Twins as well. I think so. I don't know. Like the reason why I picked those is because again, I feel they have money to spend. They're like at the cusp of a great team. They just need like a
Mhm.
few missing pieces of it.
You hit the nail on the coffin for me because I know the two teams I was thinking of was the Baltimore Orioles and the Minnesota Twins. Twins lost Sonny Gray. Baltimore just lost Kyle Bradish to an injury as well. They did pick up Corbin Burns, but that AL East, if the Yankees continue to be in conversations with Blake Snell, you never know. It just can just go like that. And another team too, possibly the Chicago Cubs.
That was my that would have been my fifth one.
See,
Yeah.
yeah, great minds think alike, dude. Great
Yeah.
minds think alike. Jordan Montgomery, though, on the other hand, I think Texas might be back on it. If that's the case, maybe
Red
a year,
Sox, I
2 year
think.
deal.
See
If the
for him.
four new teams, though, that's the thing.
Okay, new teams, maybe Miami.
Okay.
Uh,
If Atlanta's going into it, I mean,
yeah, yeah.
nationally could be some. I mean, at least the East, the Phillies as well could be a potential destination because they were going after Yamamoto as well.
You see, I feel the Jordan Montgomery market is a little bit more tougher than the Blake Snell because, like, I don't know. I think Montgomery's a little bit older too, huh?
Yeah, he's just. I wouldn't say not old, like very old, but I'd say about 3 or 4 years, a little older than Blake Snell. And then plus Blake Snell's won 2 Cy Youngs. Jordan Montgomery just recently won the Rangers World Series.
And it might be the same teams we just mentioned earlier too. I
Yeah,
mean, I feel like both like they need
all the
pitching,
teams
right?
that we mentioned. Yeah,
Yeah. So, but I know you mentioned the Phillies, but they see the reason why I didn't pick the Phillies is because they just got their guy. They signed Zach Wheeler to a 3 year, $126 million extension with zero opt outs. Zero opt outs. Yeah, so they're like, you're staying in Philly. It's the highest annual salary for any contract extension ever as well. So, and I think with the Braves, again, the Braves are not going anywhere. So the Phillies will need their best guys at the play. And when you pay your ace, I'm sure he's going to be pitching happy up there every single time when he steps into Philadelphia.
big offseason for them, getting him back and getting Aaron Nola back too. That's their 1-2, I would say, in their starting rotation.
Mm-hmm.
From there, who else? Ranger Suarez.
Nola.
No, we already had said Nola.
Oh, it's Nola.
Taiwan Walker's another one.
Yeah.
So at least you solidify your 1-2, I would say.
Yeah, and then lastly, the bringer of rain, Josh Donaldson, has announced his retirement after 13 seasons. He was a 3-time All-Star, 2-time Silver Slugger, 2015 AO MVP, and I believe he was in the cover of MLB The Show as well, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so.
One of the sickest catches, I'd say, in the Oakland Coliseum as well, if you remember that.
I don't.
Oh, come on.
Dang,
Angel.
my memory is whack, bro.
Hey, at least you knew what you did Saturday, at least this past weekend. At least you remember that. But yeah, that's all for our show today. Continue to follow us at Full Steam Ahead on X, TikTok, Instagram, FSA Full Steam Ahead. Of course, we are on Threads as well, as Angel had mentioned. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Of course, we're continuing to post content as much as we can. And wherever you get your podcasts, Google, Apple, Spotify, make sure you hit that follow button, subscribe button, whatever you want to call it. Give us a rating, give us some reviews, leave some comments for us, how we're doing. As the season is almost here, Angel. We are what, maybe 20, 24 days away. If you're
Yeah.
listening to this on a Tuesday morning, like you probably are, um, yeah,
And
23
and
days
for
away.
and for all those teachers out there, spring break is next week, so survive in advance. Is it's March Madness for real.
March Madness as well too. Of course, rodeo this week. Jelly Roll, Lane Wilson, big
Big,
performers, I would say.
hey, good shows coming up. Yeah,
Good show. So if you're in the Houston
Los
area, check it out.
Tigres del Norte también.
Of course, también as well. I forgot. But until then, y'all have a safe week. We'll maybe talk to y'all this coming week. We didn't do one. We only did one show last week. Possibly we'll do two this coming week. But until then, y'all stay safe. Have a good week, and I'll talk to y'all soon.